Hi guys, welcome back to another exciting tutorial of Great Stack. And in this video we will learn complete backend using Express.js. So what is Express.js? Express.js is a minimal, fast and flexible web application framework for Node.js. It simplifies the process of building web application and APIs by providing robust tools and features. Express.js allows developers to handle routing, middleware, request handling, and server-side logic efficiently. Express.js is built on Node.js and uses JavaScript for backend development. It follows the middleware pattern, making it easy to extend functionalities. It has full-stack compatibility because it works well with front-end frameworks like React, Angular, Vue, and others. So you can build a full stack application. So if you want to build a fast, efficient and a scalable web application or API, then Express.js can be a best choice for you. So in this video we will learn complete Express.js. So let's see our desktop screen, and as we know, Express.js is built on Node.js. So first we need to install Node.js on our computer. So for that we will come back to the web browser and search for Node.js, and here we have the download option. Let's click here, and here we will select the operating system and architecture and click on this button to download the installable file. So our file has been downloaded. Now we will install it, and here we'll click on this next button in this prompt. So it is installing the Node.js on our computer. So our Node.js has been installed. Let's click on finish, and we will close this web browser, and here we will open the terminal. So now our terminal is open. Now we will verify our installation. To verify it, simply type node-v. So our node has been installed, and here we have the node version. Similarly, we can verify the version of npm. So here we will type npm-v. So this is the npm version. That is the package manager. So let me close this terminal also, and here we will create our Express backend application. For that, here simply we will create a new folder, and here we will add the folder name Express app, and we will open this folder with VS Code editor. So right click and select show more options, open with code. So our folder is open in VS Code, and in this folder we will create a new file, and we will write the file name index.js. We can write anything like app.js or server.js. So we are using index.js as file name. Now in this folder we will initialize the project. For that, here we will open the integrated terminal. So our terminal is open in this project folder, that is Express app, and here we have to initialize the project. So we will type npm init-y, and here we will press enter. So here we have one file with the name package.json. In this file you can see we have the project name, version, then we have the main file that is added here, that is index.js. So this index.js file has been added here. After that we have pre-built scripts, then we have other properties related to this project. Now we will close this file, and now our project has been initialized, and now we will add the Express package in this project. To install it, here we will use the command npm install express. After that we will press enter, So it will install this Express package. After that, you will find this node_modules folder. If I open package.json, so here we have one property, that is dependencies, and in this one we have Express package, and this is the version of that Express package that we have installed in this project. So we have successfully installed the Express package. Now using this package we will create a first Express app. So in this file index.js we will import the Express. So here we will type const express equal to required, and here we will provide the Express package. Now using this package we will create one app instance. So here we will type const app equal to, and here we will use this Express function. After that we have to define the port number where our backend will run. So here we will type const port and equal to, here we will provide a port number 3000. After that, here we will simply create a route. So for that we will add a comment, and here we will type define a simple route. After creating the route, we will use this app instance, and after that we will use the get method, and here we will provide our endpoint path where we can listen any API. So here we will type slash, that will be the root route, and after that we have to pass a callback function. So here we will add one arrow function. So whenever we will hit this route, then this function will be executed, and in this one we will add two parameters, that will be request and response. Suppose we are sending any data in this API, then we will get it in request, and if we want to send any data from the backend, then we will use this response object. So here we will simply use this response, and in this one we will use dot send property, and here we will send one message, that will be hello Express. So here we have simply created one route, and after that we have to initialize this Express app. For that, here we will use the app.listen method, and in this method we have to add two parameters, that will be port number, and the second one will be callback function. So using this method we can start our Express server at this port number, and when the server will run, then this function will be executed. So whenever the server gets started and execute this function, in that case we will display a message in terminal. So here we will add a console log. So let's type console.log, and in this one we will add a message using template literal. So let's add backticks, and here we will add a message, that is server is running on http localhost : and here we have to provide the port number. For that we will use $ curly braces, and here we will provide our port number that we have declared here. So here we have added the logic for creating a basic server. Now we will start this server. To run this server we will come to terminal, and here we will type node, and then we will add the file name, that is index.js. After that we will press enter, and here we will get a message, server is running on http localhost port 3000. Now we will test it. So let's copy this address from here, and we will come back to the web browser, and here we will open this URL. So here we are getting the message hello Express. If I come back to the VS Code editor, so here we have added one message at this root route, that is hello Express, and that message is visible on our web browser. So whenever we hit any address using web browser, then that request is processed using get method. So you can see we have created this route using this get method. That's why we are getting this message hello express in the web browser. So here if I stop this project, for that we will type Ctrl+C, and now we have to use this node index.js to run this project. So we will automate it. We will come back to the package.json, and from here we will remove this script. So in this script we will add our own script. So let's type, and here we will add double quote, and the script is a start, and in this start script we will add node index.js. So whenever we will use this start script, that is npm start, then it will execute this one node index.js. So now we will test it. We will save these changes, and here we will type npm start. So now you can see our server has been started. Here we have the message server is running on port 3000. So let's stop this project again and use Ctrl+C to stop it. And after that, here we will add one more script. Using that, whenever we will make any changes in the file, it will restart our backend. If I start this project using npm start, and if I change this message like hello world, and if I save the changes, and if I open this address in web browser, so here you can see still we have the hello express, but we have updated our message, that is hello world. So to fix it, we will use nodemon. So to use the nodemon, first we will install that package. So let's type npm I nodemon, and we will save it as development dependency. So use --save-dev. So this package has been installed. If I come back to the package.json, so here we have the dependencies, and here we have the dev dependencies where we have the nodemon package. Now we will use this package and start our server. So in this script we will remove this node, and here we will add nodemon. And now if I save this one and again start our backend using npm start, so now again you can see message server is running on this URL. So here we have the message hello world, and if I reload this one, you can see we have the message hello world. And if I come back to the VS Code, and if I change this message like hello express, and if I save the changes, and now you can see it is restarting our server, and after that you can see message restarting due to changes. And if I come back to the web browser and reload it, so you can see our message has been updated. It is reflecting on the browser. So using this script, whenever we will make any changes in the backend, it will restart our server, and we don't need to manually restart it. Now we will see, if I come back to the package.json, and here we have a property called type, and here we have the value common.js. So here we can write the backend in two different types. So the first one is common.js, where to import any package we use the required keyword, and the second type is module. So if I set the type module, then here we can use the import statement to import any packages. And in the modern development, mostly we use the module type. So now we will see how we can change this common.js to type module. So first we have to change the type to module, and here we have one error like required is not defined in ES module scope. So now here we have to use the express package. For that we will use the import statement. So we will remove this line, and here we will use import express from, and here we will add the package name, that is Express. Now if I save the changes, so now our error has been resolved and our server is running on this localhost URL. So our server is perfectly working. So now we will see the routing in Express.js. So as we have seen in VS Code, here we have created a simple route. So now we will understand this structure. For that we will come to our nodes, and here we have the statement like app.method, and then we have the first parameter path, and the second one is handler function. So to create a route, here we have to select the method, and this method is HTTP method. So in this one, if I want to get data from backend, for that we will use this get method, and if I want to send any data on this route, for that we will use this post method. And suppose if I want to update anything on the database on backend, then we will use the put method, and if we want to delete anything from the server, then we will use this delete method. So here we have total 4 types of method available, and then we have to provide the path. So this path will be the URL route, where we will define the URL for the API. Whenever we will hit the API, then we will provide a URL. If I provide slash, then the path will be root URL that we have added here. So whenever we will hit this localhost port 3000, this root path will be called. We can change it like /users, /contact, /seller, and we can create multiple routes for our need of our application. After that we have the handler function that will be executed when we hit this route. So we will use this handler function to implement our all logics at that route. So here we will create another route and we will test it through web browser. So now we will just duplicate it and here we will paste it. And here we will add the route, that is /about. And here we will send the message, this is about route. Similarly, we will change this comment also, about route. Now we will create one more copy of this route, and here we will type contact, and here we will send a message, this is contact route. After that we will save the file and it will restart this server. After that we will come back to the web browser and here we will reload it. So here we have hello express, and after that if I hit /about route, so here we have this is about route. Similarly, if I type /contact, so here we have this is contact route. Like this we can create multiple routes. Now we will see how using the Express.js we can create dynamic route. So first we will understand what is dynamic routes. Suppose we have this URL with route /user, and then we have the /username, and if this username is changing dynamically for each user, so this type of route is known as dynamic routes. So using dynamic routes we can handle this type of routes, and with that suppose we have this route where we have the /search and then we have a query string where we have the key and value. So if value is changing, so this is also a type of dynamic route. So using Express.js we can handle these type of dynamic routes easily. So first we will see dynamic route. We use these type of routes to get the value from the URL, and we will define it using the parameter like Here we have the route user and then we have the parameter name, that is the username. Similarly, if I see the query strings, so we use it to pass the optional data in the URL and we can extract it using the request.query. If I add any query in the URL, and we can receive it in our request parameters query property. So now we will see how to handle this type of routes in the Express app. So we will come back to the VS Code editor and here we will clear these routes and here we will create a new route. So we will type app.get and we will type the route name, that is /user/ and then we will add the username that will be changing. For that we will add the colon and here we will add the parameter name, that is username. So this is the format to write the dynamic route and here we will add the arrow function and here we will get the request and response in the parameter. We will get this parameter and to get this parameter in this function we will use request.params. So for that we will type const username equal to request.params.username. Using this statement we can extract the parameter from the URL. After that here we will send a response. So for that we will use response.send and in this one we will use the template literal. So here we will add the text called welcome and after that we will add $ curly braces and here we will provide the username. After that we will save this file. So it will restart the server and we will come back to the web browser and here let's add /user/ and here we will provide any username. So let's provide John and if I press enter, so here we are getting the message welcome John. If I change this username and if I make it dev and press enter, so here we are getting the message welcome dev. So we can change the route dynamically and according to that we will get the response. So this is how we can handle the dynamic route in the Express app. After that we will create one more route and in that one we will handle the query string. For that we will write app.get method and after that we have to provide the parameter, that is path. So we will add /search and then we will add the arrow function and in this parameter we will get the request and response. And suppose if we get any query in this URL like /search ? keyword equal to express. So if I want to get the value of this keyword property, then in this function we will use request.query property. So we will type const keyword equal to request.query.keyword. So using this statement we will get the value of this keyword like express. It will be stored in this keyword variable. After getting the value we will send a response using response.send and here we will use template literal. So just add backticks and here we will add the text searching for keyword. So here we have created a route that will handle the query string, that is the keyword equal to express. We will save the changes so it will restart the backend and we will come back to the web browser and here we will add the path search ? and keyword equal to express. So here we are getting the message searching for express. If I change this value and if I type Node.js, so now we are getting the response searching for Node.js. So if I changing the value dynamically, then we will get the response according to our dynamic URL. So this is how we can handle the dynamic routes in Express.js. It could be dynamic parameter or query string. Now we will see how we can organize this code in separate files. So here we will create a new file and we will add the file name controller.js. So in this file we will save the controller function logic and then we will export it and we will use it in this index.js file. So now we will see how to write this logic separately. So for that we will cut this function from here and here we will create a variable and write the variable name username controller equal to, and here we will paste this function. Now I want to use this function in index.js file. For that, here we will use export keyword, and using that we can use this function in this index.js file. After that, similarly, we will cut this function from here and here we will create one more variable using export const and variable name is search controller equal to, and paste this arrow function. Now we will save this file and after that we will come back to the index.js file and here we will mount our functions. So here we will type username controller. So we are getting these suggestions. We will select it. So this file has been imported from controller. After that, here we have to add the file name extension, that is controller.js. Similarly, in this one also we will add search controller. So this search controller and username controller function has been imported from this file. Let me remove this comment. Now if I save the changes and come back to the web browser, if I reload this web page, so you can see this logic is still working. And if I change this route and here we will type user/dev, so now this route is also perfectly working. So this is how we can organize our routes logic and we can export this function and use it in the index.js file. Now we will see how to create a separate route folder and organize these routes. So let me remove these routes from here. Let me remove this comment also, and we will remove this import statement also. We will save the changes and we will come back to the controller.js file, and here we will remove these controller function also. After that we will create two controller function, that will be export const user login equal to, and we will create this arrow function, and in this parameter we will get request and response, and here we will send a response using send method, and here we will add a message. This is user login route. After that we will create one more copy, and here we will update the name user sign up, and here we will add the message. This is user sign up route. So here we have created two controller functions and we will use this controller function and create the route. So here we will type app.get and here we will add the path /user/login, and after that we will add the user login function. Then here we have to add the file name extension .js. After that we will create one more copy, and here we will add the path, that is /signup. And here we will use the user signup function. So we have imported both controller function from this controller.js file. If I save the changes and come back to the web browser, and here if I open user/login, here we are getting the response. This is user login route, and if I update it, we will type sign up in the route. So here we are getting the response. This is user sign up route. So now we will organize these routes in separate files. So here we will create a new file with the name route.js. To create the route file, first we have to import the express package. So we will import the express package like this. After that we will create a variable with the name router, and in this one we will store the express dot router interface. So here we will get a router using this interface. Now using this router we will create the routes. So first we will create one route. For that, let's add router.get method. After that we have to provide the relative path. So if I come back to the index.js file, so you can see we have the path /user/login. So we will mount this router at /user. That's why here we will simply provide /login. And after that we will add the controller function, that is user login. Here we will add .js. After that we will create one more route. So we will type router.get method, and this route will be sign up. And we will add the user sign up controller function. So we have created two routes. After that we have to export this router. For that we will type export default and this router. After that we will use this router and we will set up the routes here. So let me remove these routes from here, and here we will type app.use, and here we have to provide the path, that is /user, and here we will add the router also that we have created in route.js file. So we will select this router. So this router has been imported from route.js, and after that we can remove this import statement from here. Now if I save the changes, so our server has been restarted, and if I come back to the web browser, if I reload this route, so this /user/signup route is perfectly working. And if I open /user/login and reload it, so here also we are getting the response, it is working fine. So here we have added this path /user and provided the router, and in this router we have two endpoints, that is /login and /signup. And using this router we have initialized this route. So like this we can create multiple files and we can organize the logic and routes separately, and using this router we can initialize the routes. Using this method we can make our index.js file more clean and readable. So now we will see the various HTTP methods in Express.js. So Express.js supports multiple HTTP protocol. Using that we can create the RESTful APIs. As we have seen in the examples, we can do the GET request, we can use the POST request, then we can use PUT and DELETE request. So first we will see when we should use the GET request. So suppose whenever we have to fetch the data from this server, like we have the e-commerce website and I want to get all the products from the server that we can display on our front end. In that case, we will use the GET request. And if we have to send the parameters in the GET request, then we can use two methods, that is route parameters or query strings, that we have discussed in the previous example. After that, we will see how we can handle the post request. We use the post request when we have to send the data from the client side to server side. To use the post method, we have to send the data in the body, and we can add the data in body in multiple format like simple text, JSON format or form data. So suppose if we have to make the post request and we are adding the data in the body and we have the data that we can send it in JSON format, then we have to use the middleware that will parse the data and it will add it in the request.body. So we will understand the middleware deeply in the next chapter, but for now we will understand this express.json. We can use it and we can parse the JSON data and it will be sent in the API in the post method. So now we will create a post request. For that we will come back to the VS Code and here we will type app.post and here we will add our route, that is /users. After that we will add our controller function, that will be an arrow function, and here we will get the request and response. And suppose I want to set the name and email ID in the request body, then we have to destructure that data here. So to get that data, here we will use const curly braces and here we will use name and email, and we will get this data from request.body. After that, here we will simply create a response that we will send using JSON method, and here we will add the object, and in this object we will add the property called message, and in this message property we will add the template literal where we will send the response, that is user, and here we will add the username in $ curly braces. After that we will add the with email, and here we will add $ curly braces, and in this one we will add the email that we will get from request.body, and here we will add the message created successfully. So here we have created a post route. For now we will save this file and we will test this post method. To test it we will use the Postman application. So this is the Postman application. If you don't have this app, you can download it from the official website of Postman. And after that, here we have the plus icon. We will click here and from this drop down we will select this post. So we have created the API with post method. So we have selected post, and in this URL we will type http://localhost port 3000. After that we have to add our endpoint, that is /users, and after that in the body we have to provide the name and email. So we will go to body and from here we will select raw, and here we will select JSON, and in this JSON data we will add name property and value. Then we will add the email property and one dummy email ID. So we have created one object where we have defined the name and email property, and after that if I click on send button, so here you can see we are getting an error in the response. So if I come to console, you can see the same error, cannot destructure property name from request.body. So here this name property is not available in this request.body because while sending this data, here we have used one object. And first we have to parse that data, then we will get the name and email in the request body. So to parse it, we will simply use a middleware. So to use the middleware, here we will simply add a comma, and within this comma we will add express.json method. After that we will save the changes. Now you can see it will restart the server. And now if I click on send button, so here we are getting a response where we have the object with message property, and here we have the response text, that is user John with email, that email ID. So this post method is successfully working. And here we have added a middleware that is converting the JSON format, and it is parsing in object and it is adding in the request body. So this is how we can create a post route. Using that we can send the data from client side to server, and we can operate on this data and we can generate a response. After that we will see how we can create a put request. So we use the put request to update any resource on server. Suppose we have a database, and if any user want to update their name, in that case we will use the put request, and in this request we will use request.patterns to identify the resource. So we will come back to the VS Code, and here we will create a put request. To create the put request, here we will add app.put method, and here we will add the path /users/:id. Here we are using the params. After that we will add an arrow function where we will get the request and response in the parameter. After that we have to get the user ID. For that we will create a variable, and in that variable we will store this ID. So here we will add const user ID equal to request.params.id. If I provide any ID, so here after this params we have to provide the same text ID. Suppose if we provide ABC here, then here also we have to provide ABC. So let me make it ID. So now we have the user's ID. With that, using this put method, we can get the data from the client also. Suppose we need the user's name and email, then we can easily get it using request.body. After that we will generate a response using JSON method, and here we will add one object where we will define message property, and in this message property we will provide user, and then we will provide the user ID updated to, and here we will provide the name. After that we will provide the email. So here also we are using request.body. In that case, here also we have to add a middleware. For that we will type express.json. That will convert the JSON formatted body data and parse it in object, and it will be added in the request body. Now we will test this API. So we will save this file, it will restart the server, and we will come back to the Postman application. Here we will click on this plus icon, create a new request. Here we will select the type put, and here we will add the URL http localhost port 3000/users/ and here we will add any ID like UID 123. After that, in this body we will select raw and here we will select JSON. After that, here we have to provide the data in the body, so simply just copy this from the previous request and we will paste it here. So we will provide this data in the body, and if I click on send button, so request successfully executed, and here we have the message user ID updated to John and email. So this is how we can use the put request and create the put request API. So as you can see, in both API we have used express.json that will parse the data in our request body. So here we can add one logic, that is app.use, and in this app.use we can simply add express.json. So now this middleware will directly applied on both requests, so we can remove it from here and here also. And now we don't have to write express.json in multiple routes because we have added it here, app.use, and this middleware will be applied for all the routes. And if I save the changes and come back to the Postman application, if I come to previous request and click on send button, you can see we are getting the response successfully. And if I go to put request and click on send button, here also we are getting the response successfully. So this API is also working. After that, we will see how we can handle the delete request. We use the delete request to remove any resource from the server. Suppose we have a button in our application, using that we can delete the user's profile. So in that case we can use this delete request. So we will create a delete request API. So we will come back to the VS Code editor and we will collapse it, and here we will create a delete request. For that, here we will use app.delete, and in this parameter we will add the path/users/:id. Here if you see, we have used the same path in put that we have added in this delete method. So we can use the same path for multiple methods. Suppose in the get request also we have to use this path, so we can easily use it in get request also. After that, here we will add an arrow function, and in this parameter we will get the request and response. Suppose we have to delete any user, then we need the user ID. So to get the user ID, we will use the params. So we will type const user ID equal to request.params.id. After that, here we will generate a response using JSON method, and here we will add the object where we will define the message property. In this message property, we will add a message that is user with ID, and we will add the user ID deleted successfully. After that, we will save this file and it will restart the server. After that, we will test this API. For that, we will open the Postman application, and here we will simply create a new request. We will select the method delete, and here we will add the URL http localhost port 3000/users/one user ID. After that, if I click on this send button, so you can see the request is successfully executed, and here we have the message user with ID this deleted successfully. So this is how we can use multiple methods and create the routes in Express app. So we have seen the GET request to create a route, then we can use the POST method, then we can use the PUT method, and then we have created the route for delete method. Now we will clear our main file. So let me remove these routes, remove this import also, and we will save this file. After that, we will see how we can handle the multiple route parameters. Suppose we have a route like /users /name/id, and here we have the parameter name and id. It will be changed according to user. So we will handle this type of routes using multiple parameters. For that, here we will create a route. So we will type app.get, and here we will add the path /things/ here we will take one parameter, that is name, that will be changing dynamically. After that, we will add / and again add colon, and here we will add the parameter, that will be id. It will be changing dynamically. After that, here we will add a function, and in this function we will get the parameter. So we will get the request and response, and after that, here we have to get this name parameter and id parameter. So to get these parameters, here we will type const curly braces, and here we will get the name property and id property, and we will get it from request.params. So here we will get the name and id. After that, we will generate a response. So here we will type response.json, and in this one we will add the object where we will provide the property id and name. So we have added these properties simply in this JSON object. After that, we will save this file and it will restart the server. After that, we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will create a new request, and here we will add the type get. Here we will use this URL http localhost 3000/things/ and here we will add the parameter, that is /greatstack/123, and if I click on this send button, so here we have the response, and in this one we have one object where we have the id property and name property, where we are getting the id and name from this URL. So this is how we can create a chain of parameters, and wherever we have to use the dynamic parameter, we can use the colon and parameter name. After that, we will see how we can use the regular expressions in the route. Suppose here we are getting the id parameter, and the id parameter length should be exactly 5 digits. For that, we will use the regular expressions that we can simply say regex. So after this id property, here we will add a small bracket, and here we will define the regex. So here we will add a square bracket, and here we will add 0-9. After that, here we will add the curly braces, and here we will define digit 5. So here we have declared the id, it should be 5 digit, and we can use the numbers only from 0 to 9. If I save this file and come back to the Postman application, and here we have provided 1, 2, 3 and click on send button. So here we are getting an error, and here we have the status code 404. It means this route is not working, right? So if I correct it, if I make the id 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and click on send button, So now you can see we are getting the response with the ID and name property. So this request is perfectly executed, and here we are getting the response with ID and name. Suppose here we provide the 5 digit, and in the last digit if I provide any character and click on this send button. So here also we are getting 404 error, and here we have one HTML file where you can see the title error. So here we'll create a route that will handle our 404 error. So if I come back to the VS Code editor, and here we will add a comment that is catch all invalid routes. After that, here we will create a route that will be executed when we don't have any route with that name. So suppose here we type /users, then we don't have any route available with the name /users, then we'll get an error. So to solve this error, here we will create a route. For that we will type app.get, and in this path name we will add the star. After that we will add one arrow function. In this function parameter we will get the request and response, and after that here we will generate a response using send property, and here we will add the message that will be sorry, this is an invalid route or URL. After that we will save this file, and we will come back to the Postman application, and here we are getting an error. But if I click on send button again, so here we are getting a response that is sorry, this is an invalid URL. Suppose if I type anything in this URL that is not defined in our URL, then we will see this message in the response. So if I change it like /user and click on send button, so here we are getting same message, sorry, this is an invalid URL. So this is how we can create a message for all the invalid routes. Now we will learn middleware in Express.js. Middleware functions in Express.js are functions that execute before the final request handler. Suppose we have a handler function that will get executed when we hit our API route, and I want to execute another function before that handler. So that is known as middleware. Using middleware we can modify the request and response object. With that we can also end any request in the middle of the execution cycle, and with that we can use multiple middleware in single API request in the stack. Now we will understand middleware workflow. Suppose any client is generating the request, then the request will get handled using route handler. But if we have used any middleware, then that request will go to middleware, and then that middleware will execute the function, and after that we will get the modified request, and that will go to route handler, and it will generate the final response to the client. Using middleware we can perform the login, authentication, request parsing, error handling, and many other tasks. So now we will create a basic middleware. For that we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here we will remove these routes. After that, before initializing this home route, here we will declare a middleware. So here we will type app.use, and in this one we will add one arrow function. So here we have added one arrow function, and in this parameter we have to get the request and response, and then we will add a callback function. After that we will add a console.log, and in this console log we will add a message that will be a new request received at, and after that we will provide the timestamp. So to provide the timestamp, we will use the date interface, and here we will use .now method. After that, here we will call our next function. So this middleware has been created, that is a function. In this one, we will console log the message in terminal, and then it will call the next function that will call the route handler function. So now we will save this file and simply come back to the Postman application, and here we will provide the root path, that is localhost :3000, and we will click on send button. So here we are getting some error, and here we have added date.now. We will remove this a small bracket from here. We will save the changes and come back to the Postman application again. So our server has been restarted. Come to Postman application and click on this send button. So here we have the response hello express, and if I come back to the VS Code, and here in this terminal we have the message a new request received at, and then we have the timestamp. If I again click on this send button, multiple times we will click. So you can see we have multiple message in terminal, and here you can see it is updating the timestamp. So this is a basic middleware where we are adding a message in console log. After that we will see the types of middleware in Express.js. So first type is application level middleware. So this middleware will be applied for all the routes as we have used right now in the VS Code editor. We have added app.use and provided this middleware here. So this middleware will be applied for all the routes that we have created in this app. After that we have the router level middleware. So this will be applied for a route group. So if I come back to the VS Code editor, here we have created a route.js file, and here we have added two endpoints, right? And here if I add any middleware, then that will be applicable for this route only. After that we have built-in middleware. So in the Express app we have pre-built middlewares like express.json that we have already used in the previous examples to pass the request.body. After that we have the third-party middleware. So this middleware has to be installed externally. After that we can use it. As I have added one example, course. Using this middleware we can provide the access who can access our backend or API. After that we have the error handling middleware. We use this middleware to handle the errors in the Express app. After that we will see how we can apply any middleware on any specific single route. For that we will come back to the VS Code editor, and after that we will open index.js file, and here we have used this middleware that is applied on all the routes. So here we will create a new route. For that here we will duplicate this code, and here we will add route name /welcome, and here we will send a message welcome to Express app. After that we have to apply this middleware on this welcome route. So when we call this home route we will not apply this middleware. So for that we will simply add a path name before this middleware. So here we will provide the path name /welcome. After applying it, this middleware will be applied only for this route. Now we will save the changes and it will restart our backend. we will clear the previous message from the console. We will stop this server using Ctrl+C and use CLS. And here we will again start our app using npm start. So our backend has been started, and now we will come to Postman application, and here if I click on this send button for this home route, here we are getting the message hello express. And if I come back to the VS Code, here we don't have any message in the terminal. And if we add the path welcome and click on this send button, so here we are getting the response welcome to Express app. And here we have a message in terminal, a new request received. So this is how we can add any middleware for a single route. After that, we will see order of middleware execution. For that, we will clear this route. We will clear this middleware also. So we have cleared our Express app, and now before this home route, here we will declare a middleware. So we will add app.use, and here we will pass the addo function. And in this one we will add 3 parameters, that is request, response and next callback function. After that, here we will add the console log, and in this console log let's add a string, that is a start. After that, we will call the next callback function. After adding this middleware, in this app.get method we will add a console log, and here we will add a message, that is middle. Suppose if I save the changes and come back to the Postman application, and here we will send a request at this home route. So we will click on send button. So we are getting the response hello express, and we will come back to the VS Code editor. So here in this terminal we have the start message from this middleware that gets executed before this controller function, and after that we are getting this middle that is displayed using this app.get method. So suppose after end of this middleware we have to add a message. For that, here we will add response dot on. So it is an event listener where we can provide the event name, and when that event gets executed, then it will call the callback function. So here we have multiple options for event like close, drain, error, finish. So we will choose finish, and after that we will add a callback function, and in this callback function we will add a console log. In this log we will add a message end, and now we will save the changes, and we will come back to the Postman application and click on this send button. So here we have the response hello express, and we will come back to the VS Code editor. So here we can see the order a start, middle, and then we have end. So we have added one event listener in this middleware. So when the event finish will be called, we will see the console log. This is how we can execute our middleware in the orders. After that, we will see the third-party middlewares. For that, we will come back to the web browser, and here we will open npm. Search for npm, open this npm.js.com, and here we will search for body parser. So this is a package. Using that we can add a middleware in our Express app, and using this we can parse the JSON body, we can parse the raw body, and we can parse the URL encoded form data from the body. So after that we will search for cookie parser. Let's open this package, and using this package we can parse the cookies coming in the request, and we can add it in the request.cookies. And we have multiple libraries, that is the third-party libraries, and we can use it in our project. We can add it in our project as a middleware. After that, let me close it, and we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here we will open how we can use the middleware and we can handle the error. For that, let me remove this middleware from here, and here we will create a route that will be app.get, and here we will create route path /error, and here we will add the arrow function, and in this arrow function we will create an error. For that, we will use new error constructor, and in this one we will provide a message that will be this is test error. Whenever we will hit this API, we will get an error, and after that we have to throw this error. So here we will use throw new error and then this error message. Now we will save these changes and we will test this API. For that, we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will add the URL /error and click on this send button. So here we have error, right? And in the terminal you can see our Express app has been crashed. Here we are getting this message, this is test error. Now we will handle this error using the middleware. For that, after defining all the routes, here we will add app.use, and in this one we will create a arrow function, and in this arrow function we will get the parameter. So here we have to get 4 parameters. So the first parameter will be error, the second one will be request, then response, and then we will add the callback function next. So whenever we will add the 4 parameters, then in the first parameter we will get the error. So after that, in this function we will use console.error, and in this one we will provide the error.message. After that, here we will generate a response, and in this response we will add a message, internal server error. After that, we will save the changes and our server will get restarted. And now we will come back to the Postman application and we will click on the send button. So here in this response we are getting internal server error, right? So instead of error we are getting a response message, internal server error. And if I come back to the VS Code editor, you can see here also we have the this is test error message, but our app is not crashed. So this is how we can handle any error unique. So this is how we can handle any error using the middleware. Now we will see the templating engine in Express.js. A templating engine generates dynamic HTML by embedding JavaScript-like logic within an HTML file. Using the templating engine, we can separate the logic from the HTML file, and in this one we can use the variables, loops, conditionals and functions to generate the content. In Express.js, templating engines are used to render the dynamic content. So now we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here we will understand it with one example. For that, we will clean this file, we will remove this console log, and here we will save the changes. After that, we have to install one package in our Express application. So we will stop this project using Ctrl+C and we will add npm install EJS. So EJS is embedded JavaScript, and using this we can directly embed the JavaScript in the HTML file. So we will again start our backend using npm start, and after that we will create a template and we will render it in the Express app. So for that we have to create a new folder in the root folder. So we will create a new folder and write the folder name views. In this folder we will create a view file and we will add the file name index.ejs. After that we will create a basic HTML, and here in this body tag we will add a title in h1 tag. So let's add the title hello, and then we will add a username. So to display the username we will use the dynamic variable, and here we will provide the username. After that we will save this file and we will render this file using the Express app. And here instead of this username variable we will provide the username. So we will come back to the index.js file, and here first we will set the EJS as a default view engine. For that here we will add a comment, and in this comment we will provide set EJS as the view engine. After that we will add the app.set method, and in this method we will set view engine and we will set it with EJS. So we have set the engine. After that in this main route we will remove this statement, and here we will create a variable that will be username, and here we will create a name that is John Doe, and after that we will add response.render method, and in this method we will provide the EJS file name that is index, and with that we will pass the object where we will provide our variable that is username. So here we have passed the username. Now we will save these changes, so it will restart the server, and after that we will come back to the web browser, and here if I come to root path, so here we are getting a message hello John Doe. So this is a HTML tag that we have created in this index.ejs file. So this is how we can display any variable directly in the HTML file using embedded JavaScript. So if I change the name from this index.js file, and here if I type Elon Musk, so if I reload this web page, so we are getting new title hello Elon Musk. So here we have multiple view engine available. Here we have used EJS, and if I come to npm website, and here if I search for pug, we can use this package also to render the HTML file, and instead of HTML file we can use these tags to display the dynamic content. After that we will clear this project. So let me remove these statement. We will clear this route also. Here simply add response.send, and we will simply add a message hello Express. After that we will see how we can serve the static file using the Express.js. For that we will come back to the folder structure, and here we will create a public folder. In this public folder we will create a new file, and here we will add a file name example.txt, and in this one we will add some text, and we will save the changes and close this one. Now suppose we have to get this file from the backend server. For that we will use the static file serving from the Express app. So here let's add app.use, and in this one we will use the express.static, and in this one we have to provide the folder name that we want to make it public. So we will simply provide this name here, that is public, and after that we will save the changes. So it will restart the backend server, and after that we will come back to the web browser, and here if I reload it, we are getting the response hello express, and after that in this URL if I type /example.txt and press enter, so here you can see our file is open in the web browser. So if we add any image file in this folder, so let me reveal this folder in File Explorer, and here we will add one image. Like I have added gs.jpg, and now if I come back to the web browser, and here if I provide the file name gs.jpg, so we are getting the image, it is displayed on the web page. And if I want to save this file, then we will add Ctrl+S and we can save this file on our computer. So this is how we can easily expose any folder as public folder, and we can access the data in that folder easily. After that, in this root folder, we will create one more folder, and here we will add the folder name images. And from this public folder, we will move this image file in this images folder. So now if I come back to the web browser and reload this, so here we are getting a message cannot get gs.jpg, and if I want this images folder and public folder both to be public, so here we'll create one more copy, and here we will add second folder name, that is images. And if I save the changes and come back to the web browser, if I reload it, so now again we are getting our file, we can access our image file. After that we will see how we can expose this folder on virtual path. For that, in this app.use we will simply add single quote, and in this one we have to provide a folder name. So in this quote we have to provide the path, that will be /public, and here also we will add /images. So our public folder will be exposed at /public route, and our images folder will be exposed at /images route. Now we will test it. So if I reload this one, so we are getting cannot get the file name, and here if I want to get this image, we have to provide the path also, like /images /file name. So now we are getting the image at this path, that is /images. And if I want to get the example.txt file, here we will use public /example.txt. So here we are getting the txt file, it is accessible in the web browser. Now we will see how we can handle the form data in Express.js. For that we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here we have to clear this index.js file. So let me remove these lines, and after that we will save this file. So it will restart the server. Now we have cleared this file. After that we will close other unnecessary files. Now first we will come back to the Postman application, and here if I select any URL and come to body tag, so here we have different type of form data. We have form data, and here we have another one, form URL encoded. So first we will see how we can handle this form using Express.js. For that we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here we will create a route. For that we will type app.post, and in this one we will provide the path, that will be /form, and here we will pass the arrow function. In this arrow function, we will get the parameter, that is request and response. After that, we will generate a response where we will send a message that will be form received. And before that, we will add the console log, and in this console log we will display the request.body. So we will type request.body. After that, we will save this file. And now we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will add the URL localhost:3000/form, and here we will select the method post. Here we have selected body, and in the body I have selected URL encoded form, and here we will pass some key and value. So we will add the key name email, and another key is password, and here we will add the value property. So we will add any dummy email ID, then we will add any dummy password, and if I click on this send button, here we are getting the message form received. But here in console you can see we are getting undefined, so it is printing undefined because we are printing request.body, because this form is not parsed. So to parse the URL encoded form data, we have to add a middleware. So here we will add app.use, and in this one we will provide express.URL encoded, and here we have to pass an object where we will add extended property true. Now we will save this file and it will restart our server. After that, if I come back to the Postman and click on the send button, so here we are getting the response form received, and we will come back to the VS Code. So here you can see our form data has been parsed. So we are getting the data in this terminal. It is in the form of an object, and in this object we have the email property and password property. So this is how we can parse the URL encoded form data. Now we will see how we can parse the normal form data. So if I select this normal form data, and here if I add any key name like email and password, and here we will add the values like test@example.com and any dummy password, and click on send button. So here we are getting the response form received, and in this terminal we are receiving an empty object. So we don't have any property in this object. So this form data is a multi-part form data. To parse this form data, we have to add an external library or package. So first we have to install it. So to install the package, first we will stop the project using Ctrl+C, and we will write npm I multer. So we are using npm I multer package. So our package has been installed. Now again start the project using npm start. After that, here after this middleware we will add app.use, and here we have to provide our multer middleware. To use the multer middleware, first we have to create an instance of that. So here we will create a variable with the name upload, and here we will use the multer package. So this package has been imported automatically. After that, here in this middleware we will add upload.array. We will save the changes and again come back to the Postman application and click on this send button. Here we are getting the response form received, and if I come back to the VS Code editor, so here we are getting one object where we have the email and password property. So after uploading upload.array, we can easily parse the multi-part form data. After that, we will see how we can send any file in the multi-part form data. For that, we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will add the key property, that is file. And from here we will select property type. So we will select file, and from here we will choose any file from our computer. So we have selected this image file. After that, if I click on send button, here we are getting some error. We are getting this error because we have not defined this field name in our Express app. So for now, let me change it to image, because we are sending an image. And after that, if I come back to the VS Code editor, and here instead of this upload.array, we are sending a single file, so we can use upload.single. And here we have to provide our field name. So we will provide the image. Now we will save this file, so it will restart the server. After that, we will click on this send button. And here we are getting the response, form received. And if I come back to the VS Code editor, so here in this terminal we are getting an object, and here we have only two property, that is email and password. And that file is not displayed in this terminal because we have added the console log. When we send a file in the form data, that will be passed and it will be received in request.file. So for that, here we have to add one more console log, and in this one we will add request.file. After that, we will save the changes and it will restart the server. Now we will click on the send button. So we will get the response, form received, and come back to the VS Code editor. So here, as you can see, we are getting an object from request.body. Here we have the field name, original file name, encoding type, mine type, and here we have the buffer data where our image is stored. Now we will see how we can save any file that we are receiving from the form data and save it in the folder. For that, we will create a folder here with the name uploads, and in this folder we will store the files that we are receiving from the form data. For that, we have to create a disk storage configuration that we will add in this multer method that will return a upload middleware. To create this configuration, here we will create a variable with the name storage, and here we are going to use multer.diskStorage, and here we will add one object. In this object, we have to define the destination. So we will add the destination property, and here we will provide folder name that we have created here. So let's add the folder name uploads. After that, we will come to this variable where you can see const upload equal to multer. So in this one, we will add our disk storage. So to add it, we will add an object, and here we will add the property storage, and here we will provide this disk storage configuration, that is storage. So just provide it here. Because these names are same, so we can directly use this storage also. After that, if I save the changes, it will restart the server, and now we will come back to the Postman application, and from here we will click on this send button. So we are getting the response, form received, and after that we will come back to the VS Code editor. So now if I see this terminal, here we have request.body, and here we have request.file data, and instead of buffer data, here we are getting the path where our file has been uploaded. So if I come to uploads folder, so here we have a file that is a random name file, and this is our image file. If I rename it and add the extension .png, so you can see our image is visible and it is uploaded in this uploads folder. So for now, let me delete this image. Here we will add some logic using that our file name extension will be maintained. Like we are uploading JPG, then we will get the file with JPG extension. If I upload PNG, we will store the file using PNG extension. For that, we will change this disk storage configuration. So in this one, we will add the file name property, and in this property, we will provide an arrow function, and in this parameter, we will pass request file and a callback function. Using this callback function, we will change the file name. For that, let's call this function callback, and in this one we have to pass two parameters, that will be error and file name. As you can see on our screen, first parameter will be error and the second one will be file name. So we don't have any error, so simply provide null, and now we will provide the second parameter. So here we have to add the file name. So to get the file name, here we are going to use file property, then dot, and here we have multiple property like field name. So this field name is the name where we are sending this image. So we are sending this image using this image name. So in this file dot field name, we will get image, and we will select it, and in this one we will add concatenation, and here we will add underscore, and in this one we will add the timestamp whenever this file gets uploaded. For that, simply add date.now property. After that, we will add concatenate, and here we will add the original name of the file. For that, we will add file.original name property. So we have modified the name. So first we will get the field name image, then timestamp, and then we will get the original name of the file. Now we will save this file, and it will restart our server. And now we will come back to the Postman application and click on this send button. So here we are getting the response form received, and here you can see in this uploads folder we have one image, and in this image you can see the name is image underscore timestamp and original name of the file, that is gs.jpg. And here in this request.file we have the field name, original name, encoding, MIME type, destination, file name, path, and size. So here, as you can see, the file size is 5977, that is calculated in bytes. So using the multer, we can set the limit also, so that if we submit file more than this limit, then that file will not be uploaded in our folder. So to add it, here in this line we will add, after this storage property, we will add the limits property, and here we will add one object, and here we will define the file size, and here we have to provide the file size in the bytes. So let's provide 1024 bytes, that will be 1 kilobyte, and here we will add 000, so it will be 1 MB. Now using this route we can upload maximum 1 MB file. Now we will test it. So come back to the Postman application. From here we will select a file, and from here let me choose a large file. So here we have a file with 29 MB size. Let me select it and click on this send button. So here we are getting the error, and here you can see the error message, file too large. And if I choose a small file and click on this send button, so you can see we are getting the response form received. So like this we can handle the multi-part form data in Express.js. After that, if I see this index.js file, this file is too much cluttered, so we can store these configurations in separate file, and we can directly export and use it in this file, so that this code will look clear. For that, here we will create a config folder, and from here we will cut this code, and in this config folder we will create a new file with the name multer .js, and here we will paste this code. With that, we will add the import statement. So we have imported these packages. Now we will export this disk configuration. So we will add export keyword and we will save this file. And now come back to the index.js file, and here we have to import a storage configuration that we will get from config folder and multer file. Here we have to add .js extension. If I again send a request, so you can see this logic is perfectly working. After that, we will clear this file. So let me remove this upload and remove this import statement, and let me remove these middlewares. And from here, let me remove this post route. So our file is clear. Now we will see how we can use the database in Express.js. So now we will use MongoDB and Mongoose package. MongoDB is a popular and open source NoSQL database that stores data in flexible JSON-like format called BSON, that is binary JSON. It is document oriented. The document stored in this one will be stored as a document. Here typically we use BSON format. MongoDB database is used for high performance database. Here we can perform multiple queries very fast. With that, it defines the flexible schema. So in the same collection we can define different fields and a structure. After that, we have Mongoose, that is object data modeling library for MongoDB and Node.js. It makes easier to interact with, manipulate MongoDB documents in a more secured way. In this one, we have multiple features like a schema based, where we can create predefined schema, and using that we can store our document and we can apply multiple methods. After that, we have the validation, where we add multiple validation for each of our property. For validation, we can use the predefined validation property like required min, max, length, or we can also create our own custom validation. After that, in the Mongoose package, we have middleware support, so that if we want to store any document and before storing the document we have to process on the data, then we can easily perform that using middleware. With that, we have multiple built-in methods. Using that, we can easily perform the data creation, deletion and updation task. Now we will integrate the database in our Express app. For that, we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here to use the database we have two methods available. That is, in our system we have to install the MongoDB, or we can use the MongoDB Atlas hosted on the cloud. So in this tutorial we will see how we can use the MongoDB Atlas service to create a database, and we can access it from any application. For that, we will come back to the web browser, and here we will open new tab and search for MongoDB, and we will open this website. Here we have to create an account or login with existing account. So if you don't have any account, you can click on this sign up button to create a new account. And here we will use the Google sign in option. After sign in, you will see this interface where we have to add a project name. So here we have to add the project name. So let's add Express. Then we'll click on this next button. After that, we will click on this create project button. So our project has been created. Now we have to create a cluster. So just click on this button. create, and after that here we have to choose this free server where we are getting 512 MB and shared RAM and virtual CPU shared. So we will use this free cluster. So just select this one, and after that here we have the cluster name. So I'll keep it like this, cluster 0. After that you can choose any of this cloud provider. So I'll choose Google Cloud. After that you can choose the nearest region so that it will reduce the latency. After that we'll click the create deployment button. Now we have to set the username and password. So here we will provide the username, Great Stack, that is our channel name. Then we will provide the password, and while providing the password we have to remember one thing: we don't have to use the @ symbol in this password, so it will create a conflict error in the MongoDB connection process. So here we'll create a simple password, great123, and click on this create database user button. So here we have created a database user. Now click on this button, choose connection method, and from here we will select this drivers, and in this driver section we will click on this drop down, and here we will choose this option mongoose. Let's select this one, and after that here we have the steps. So we have to install this package in our project. So it is creating the cluster. Till now we will execute this command. So just copy this command and come back to the VS Code editor. We will stop this project, and here we will use this command npm install mongoose, and we will install this package. So our mongoose package has been installed. Now we will again run our application using npm start. After that we will come back to the web browser. So it is still creating our cluster. It may take few seconds or minute. So let's wait for that. So now our cluster has been created, and here we are getting the MongoDB string. So we have to copy this string. So let's copy it. I'll copy it till the .NET and come back to the VS Code, and here in this index.js file we'll create a variable with the name const MongoDB URI equal to, and paste this connection string. As you can see here we have the username, then password, then we have the cluster address. After that we will come back to the web browser, and we will close this pop-up, and from this left sidebar we will go to network access. So right now you can see it is displaying our current IP address, and we can access this database from this IP only. So we will change this rule. We will click on this edit button, and here we have the option allow access from anywhere. We will click on this one, then click on confirm button. So it is changing the status. So now you can see the status is active, and now we can access this database from any IP address. After that we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here we have stored this variable. After that we will use this MongoDB URI to establish the MongoDB connection. For that, here we will import the mongoose package. So we have imported mongoose. After that, using this mongoose we will establish the connection with our database. For that, simply type mongoose.connect, and here simply provide our MongoDB URI. So we have provided this MongoDB URI, and here we have to add the database name also. So here we will add /, and here we will add a name that will be Express. So here is the database name, and in this cluster we have to create a database with name Express. After that, here we will add dot then method, And in this one we will add one arrow function, and in this arrow function we will add console log, and here we will add a message that is database connected. So whenever we will be connected with the database, this function will be executed, and here we will see the message in console that is database connected. So we will save this file, and here in this terminal you can see server is running on this URL, and after that we have this database connected message. So we are connected with the database, but right now this message is coming before this database connected, right? So now I want that our database gets connected first, and after that start our server. So for that, here we will use await, and if I save the changes and start this project, so you can see it is connected with database, and after that it is starting this server. So now we are connected with the database, and now we will create some APIs. Using that we can perform the CRUD operation on this MongoDB database. So to perform the CRUD operation, we have to create a schema and a model. Using that we can create a user or delete user, or we can perform the CRUD operation. So to create the model, here we will create a new folder, and here we will add the folder name models. In this models folder, we will create a new file with the name person.js. So here we have to import the mongoose package. After that, we have to create a schema for this person model. For that, simply add const person schema equal to, and here we will use new keyword mongoose.schema constructor. In this one we will add one object, and in this object we will define the properties of this model. So in this model we have to add the name property, that will be a string type. After that we have to add the age property, and in this age property we will store numbers, and here we will add the email property, and this email will be a string. So here we have created one schema, and after that using this schema we will create a model. So to create the model, simply we have to add const model name, that will be person equal to, and here we will use mongoose.model function, and in this function we have to add two parameters. So the first parameter will be model name, that will be a string, and the second property will be a schema that we have created here. So here simply provide the name person in the model name, and here we will provide this person schema. So it will create the model. After that I want to use this model in another file. For that we have to export it. So here simply add export keyword, and now we will save this file. So we have created a simple model. After that we will separate this connection logic so that this main file will look clear. So here we have a config folder. So in this config folder we will create a new file, and we will write the file name db.js. In this file, first we have to import mongoose package. So we have imported mongoose, and after that here we have to create the arrow function. So we will add const, and we will provide the function name connectdb, and it will be asynchronous arrow function. So we have created this async arrow function. We have to use this function in our index.js file. So here we have to export it. So we will add the export keyword. Now we will copy this line or cut this line from here and paste it in this function. Now we will save this file, and after that we will come back to the index .js file. From here we will remove this import statement, and after that here we will call the connectDB function. So simply add await, and here we will call the connectDB function. So our function connectDB has been imported from config folder and db.js file. If I save the changes, you can see it will restart the server, and we are connected with the database, and server is running on localhost. So we have successfully created the db.js file. Using that we can connect with the MongoDB, and with that we have created a model with the name person. And in this one we have added 3 properties, that is name, age and email. Now we will create some routes. Using that we can perform the CRUD operation in our database. So first let's create a route. Using that we can add a new person data in our database. For that we will add the app.post method, and here we will add the path that will be /person, and here we will add the arrow function. In this function we will get the request and response, and in this function we will add the payload data where we have to add the person's data. So to parse this data, simply use express.json middleware. So here we will add express.json that will parse the request.body using the JSON method. So here first we will add the console log where we will print the request.body data, and after that we will generate a response. So here we will add a response.send, and here we will add the message that will be person added. If I come back to the Postman application, and here we will add the path /person, and here we will select the method post, and after that we will select raw and select the JSON, and here we will add one object where we will send email property. With that we will add the name property, and after that we will add the age property. So in this email we will add a dummy email ID. So let's add test@example.com. In this name property let's add a dummy name, John Doe, and after that we will add the age 24. Now if I click on send button, so we are getting the response person added, and if I come back to the VS Code, so here we are getting the data. It is displayed in the terminal in form of object that is coming from request.body. Now we will destructure this data from request.body object. To destructure it, simply add const curly braces, and here we need email, name and age property, and we will get these property from request.body object. So now we have the email, name and age that we are getting from the API request. Now we will store these data in the database. To store this data in the database, simply we will create a variable with the name const new person, and in this variable we will store the response that we are getting after creating the new person. So to create the new person, here we will use the new keyword, and here we will use the person model. So we are not getting this suggestion, so we will open this person.js file, and let's keep it open and come back to the index.js file, and here if I type person, so now we are getting this suggestion person from models folder person.js file. Just select it, so you can see this person model has been imported. Now in this person model we have to provide one object, and here we will define all the properties that we have defined in the schema, name, age and email. So here we will add the name property, then we will add the age property, then we will add the email property. So our new person will be created, and we will store this new person in the database. For that we will add await keyword and new person, and here we will perform dot save method. So after calling this function, this new person data will be saved in the database. Here we are getting an error because we have not used the async keyword here. So here we will add async. Now we can use the await keyword here. After that, let me remove this console log from here, and after saving the data in the database, here we will add the console log, and here we will console log the new person. Now we will save the changes and it will restart the server, and now we will come back to the Postman application, and from here we will send a new request. So now we will click on this send button. So here we are getting response person added, and now if I come back to the VS Code editor, so in this terminal you can see we are getting an object where we have the name, age and email, and here we are getting two other property that is created automatically, that is _ID and _version. So this ID is MongoDB ID that is automatically created when we add any data in the MongoDB database. So to see this data in the database, we will come back to the web browser, and here we will click on clusters and click on browse collections. We will open it. So here we have Express database, and in this one we have the people collection. So in this one we have a data where we have the ID, name, age and email. So we have successfully added user data in the database using the MongoDB and Mongoose. After that, here we will create a new route. Using that we can update the user data available in the database. So we will minimize this terminal, and here we will create a new route. So let me just copy this route and we will paste this again, and here we will change the method. It will be put. Here we have created two routes. This is the put. Using this route we will update the data in the database. So here we will add a comment updating data in MongoDB, and here also we will add the comment creating data, or here we will add saving data in MongoDB. So we have added express.json in both route. So let me remove it from here and we will add it in the global middleware. So for that, here we will type app.use, and in this one we will add the express.json. So now this middleware will be applied for all the routes. So here we'll come to this put method, and here we will remove this creation and we will remove this data from console log, and here we will send the user's email ID from the request.body, and now we will find the data using this email ID from our database. For that we have multiple methods. So first we will see one method, that is find method. For that we will use const person data equal to, and here we will add person model dot find method. In this method we have to add an object, and here we will provide this email that we are getting from request body. So it will take some time to find this data from the database. So here we will add the await, and when we will get the person data using this email ID, then the data will be stored in this person data, and after that we will add the console log, and in this console log we will add the person data. Now we will save the changes and we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will create a new request. Here we will select put, and here we will select this URL localhost port 3000/person, then select the body, raw and JSON. Here we have to provide the user's email, so we will provide the email property, and here we will provide the email ID that we have provided while creating the person, that will be test@example.com. After that, if I click on send button, here we are getting the response, person added. So we have to update this message, we have not changed it. But if I come back to the VS Code editor, if I see the console, here we are not getting any data, because in this database page we have added this email ID. We have some spelling mistake in this one, so let me correct this spelling from here. We will correct it, example.com. We will update it. So we have corrected the spelling of this email ID and come to Postman application and click on this send button to send a new request. So we have this response, and now you can see here in this terminal we have one array, and in this array we have one object, and in this object we have the user data where we have provided the same email that we have provided in the request. And if I come back to the Postman application and come to this post request, and here we will add one more person. So here we will add test2, and here we will add the name same, and here we will add the age 25 and click on the send button. So you can see the message person added, and if I come back to the web browser and we will refresh it, so here we have two user data where you can see different email ID and name is same. And if I come back to the VS Code editor, and instead of this email we will add name, we will get it from request, and here we will find the person using this name. And let me update this message. Here we will add person updated. We will save the changes. After that we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will come to this put method, and here instead of this email we have to provide the name property, and in this name property we will add the name John Doe and click on the send button. So here we have the response person updated, and if I open VS Code editor, so now here we have one array in this console where we have two objects. So using this find method we can find multiple documents, and for that we have to provide an object, and in that object we have to provide the condition, like which document we have to find, which property we have to check in the document. So we have provided the name property, so it will provide the document that is having the same name. Now suppose with the name we will get the age, and here also we will provide the age property, and we will save the changes and come back to the Postman application. And from here in this request body we will add age property, and here we will add the age 24. Now if I click on this send button, here we have the person updated, and here in this response you can see only one object where we have the name John Doe and age 24. So this logic is perfectly working. Like this we have multiple methods. Suppose if we want to find any document, for that we can use find one. So this method will return only one document where this condition matches. Suppose we have two documents and that condition is applied for both. So in this case the first uploaded document will be provided using this method. So here if I add find one, and if I add the condition name property only, and here also name, and we will save the changes and come back to the Postman application, and from here we will remove this age, and here we will click on the send property. Here we will click on the send button and come back to the VS Code. So here you can see now we are getting only one document where we have provided the name that we have provided in the request, and here we have the age 24. So we have added this document first, that's why it is displaying here. After that we will check the another method, find by id. So here we will add find by id, and to use this method we have to simply provide the MongoDB ID for that person that we want to find. So if you see this document, here we have the object ID. So let me copy this document ID and we'll provide it here in the ID property. So here we'll add the ID property, and in this ID property we will provide this ID value. And after that, here in this code we will modify this method. So instead of name we will get the ID, and in this method we have to pass this ID. Now if I save the changes and click on the send button, so here we are getting the message person updated, and here it will find the user using this MongoDB ID. So now we have seen 3 methods to find any user data, and now we will see how we can find the user data and modify it. So suppose we have find this person data using this method. Now I want to modify the data of this person, so simply use this variable. So here we will add person data dot age, and suppose I want to update the age, so here we will provide the new age. So suppose we provide 30, and then we have to again store this data in the database because we have made the changes. So to store the changes, simply use person data dot save method. So after executing this statement, our data will be updated in the MongoDB database. Here we will add the await because it will take time to save the data. Now we will save the changes and come back to the Postman application. And now if I click on the send button, so here you can see the message person updated, and here you can see the new age is 30, that was 24. If I come back to the database, and here we have not refreshed this page, that's why it is displaying 24. And if I click on this refresh, so here we are getting this document, and here we have updated the age, it is displaying 30. So this is how we can find any data and we can modify the data, and after modifying we can again save it in the database. After that we have one direct option also. Suppose we use the find by ID and update method. So here we have to provide 2 parameters. So in the first parameter we will provide the ID, and in the second one we will add the updated data. So suppose here we will add the curly braces, and here we have to provide the, in this object we will define the age property, and here we will change the age 28. So now we will save the changes and we will send a request from here. We'll click on the send button. So here we are getting the message person updated, and we will come back to the database and click on this refresh button. So now you can see our age is 28. So this is how we can update the data successfully in the single statement. After that, we will perform the deletion task in the MongoDB. For that, here we will add one comment, that is deleting data from MongoDB. And here we will create a route. So just add app.delete, and here we will add the arrow function, and here we have to provide a route name that will be /person, and after that here we will add params that will be ID, and here we will get the request and response that we will get from this parameter, and here we have to get the ID from the params. So here we'll add ID equal to request.params. So now we will get the ID, and using this ID we have to delete the person data. For that, we will simply add await person model dot find by id and delete method. And in this one, we are getting error because we have not added the async keyword, so we will add the async. And in this method, we have to provide the id. So simply add this id that we are getting from params. After that, we will generate a response and we will use this send method, and here we will add a message that will be user deleted. So now we will save the changes and here it will restart the server. After that, we will come back to the Postman application and here we will create a new request, and here we will select the method delete, and in this URL we will add localhost /3000/person/ and here we have to provide the person's ID. So we will copy the MongoDB ID for this person from this terminal and we will paste it here in this URL. After that, we will click on this send button. So now you can see the response user deleted. And now we will come back to the MongoDB database and we have deleted this user where you can see the age 28. So if I click on this refresh button, so you can see that user has been deleted. If I copy the ID of this second user and here we will provide this ID and click on send button. So again you can see user deleted and refresh this database. So now you can see another user has been deleted. So using this method, we can delete any user or any data from database using the ID. After that, we will add one data and we will create an API. Using that, we can get the data of all the users. For that, we will come back to the Postman application and we will open the previous post request, and here we will add email ID test@example.com and here we will add age 20, and now we'll click on the send button. So here we are getting the response person added. If I again click on this button, so again you can see response person added, and if I come back to the database, click on refresh, so here we have added two same user where you can see the email is same. But suppose we are getting any application where we have to keep this email unique, like we can create only one document using a single email. So for that we have to update our schema. So we will come back to the person.js file and here we have added the name property where we have defined the type string. So we will come to this model file and here we have created this schema. So now we will create this schema in different way. So we will remove this string and here we will add one object, and in this one we will add the type property and here we will add a string. After that we will add comma and here we will provide required property and we will make it true. So we have provided one object and in this object we have multiple validators. Here we have added type string and required true. Now if I try to save any document and in that one, in this name property field we get empty string, so in that case that document will not be created because we have added required true. So we will copy this object from here and in this age we will paste this object and here we will add the type number and required true. Similarly, remove this string from the email and here also we will add the object type string required true, and in this email we will add unique property and in this one we will add true. So we have modified our schema and now we will stop this project and here we will come back to the web browser and from here we will delete this people collection. After that, we will come back to the VS Code and start the server using npm start. So now you can see database connected and our server is running at localhost. Now we will come back to the Postman application and here we will create a user. So come to this post request and we will use this data and click on this send button. So now we have the message person added, and again if I click on this one, so here we are getting an error. If I come back to the VS Code, so here in this terminal you can see we are getting a new error. This is the error code and here we have the message duplicate key error, because here we have added unique true in the email. That's why we cannot create another user with this email ID, and we have already created one user with that email ID and we are trying to create another person. That's why we are getting this error message, and with that our app has been crashed. So here we will add one logic that we will add in the post request, and let me cut these lines, and here we will add a try catch block and we will paste our logics in this try block. And in this catch block we will send a response where we will add a message that is error.message. We will save this file. Now if I click on this send button again in this Postman application, so here we are getting the error in the response, duplicate key error. So now we are getting the error because we have marked this email as unique, and here we are trying to create an account with same email ID. That's why we are getting this error. So after that, here if I change the email ID like test2 and click on send button, so now you can see account has been created successfully, and here we are getting the response person added. Now suppose if we add test3 while creating the user. Now suppose while creating a new user, if I change this age and I'll make it empty string and click on this send button. So here we are getting a validation error, person validation failed, age path is required, because we are sending the age property and in this one we are not adding any value. That's why we are getting a validation error, because we have added required true in the age. So if I provide the age also, and here if I provide test3 and click on send button, so the person will be added in the database. So this is how we can add the validation while defining the schema. Now we will see how we can define the timestamp in a schema. So here after this object we will add a new object, and in this one we will add the timestamp true. And if I save the changes, so it will restart the server. And now if I try to add a new person, to add it we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will change the email. It will be test4. We need a unique email and click on this send button. So now you can see message person added, and after that we will come back to the web browser and we will click on this refresh button. And here we have total 4 users, and in the last user that we have just created, in this one you can see we have a new property created at and updated at. So this is automatically generated using Mongoose, where we have added timestamps true. So this is how we can create the timestamps using Mongoose. Now suppose if I want to update any property, then this updated at property will be changed, and we can track this document when this document was updated. After that we will see one more thing, like after this email property we will add one more property, that is user order. For Suppose we are creating a schema for any e-commerce website, and in the user schema I want to add the user order details. So here we'll add the type object, and here if I try to add the default property, so we will use the default keyword, and here we will add the default value, that will be empty object. So here we have created a default property, that is user order. So whenever a user will be created, so in the user order we don't have to provide the value, it will be automatically created, and in this one it will store an empty object that we can modify later. So now we will save the changes and we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will add one more user. So we will add the email test5, click on send button. So the person has been added, and if I come back to the database and click on this refresh button, so now we have total 5 users, and in the last user if I see, our property is not available, that is user order, it is not created. So if we add any property like test property in this object, and here we'll add test and we'll add the value test value, and if I save the changes, so it will restart the server, and here we'll add test6 email and click on send button. So now if I come back to the database and click on refresh button, so one new data has been added in the last user. So in the last user this property was not available because we have added the empty object, right? So when we add the empty object, then Mongoose will remove that. So to solve it, suppose we have to add the empty object in this property. For that, here we will use minimize property. So we will use this minimize property and we will mark it true. Now if I save the changes, and now we can create a new user, and in this one we will add the user order. So now we will test it. So we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will add test7 and click on the send button. So user has been added, and come back to the database and click on refresh. So now you can see in this user our property is not created again. So we have made mistake, we have make it false. So by default it is true, so we have to make it false. Minimize false and save the changes. After that we will come back to the Postman application, we will make it test8 and click on send button. Now response is person added. After that we will come back to the web browser, and from here we will click on this refresh button. Now if I scroll down, so here we have the new user, where you can see we have the user order property, and in this one we have one object where you can see we don't have any data in this object. So this is how we can add the property with empty data, and we can do it using this minimize property. So here we have seen how we can perform the CRUD operation in MongoDB database, and how we can define the schemas, and using the schema we can create the model. Now we will see cookies in Express.js. Cookies are a small part of data that we send from server to client, and it will be stored in the client's web browser, and whenever client send any API request to the server, then that cookie will be automatically attached in every API call. So now we will see the use cases of cookies. So the first use is session management. Suppose if we want to manage this session, then we use cookies, and after that we have the personalization. So to enhance the user experience we use the cookies. Next use is user tracking. Suppose we want to track the user's behavior, that user is making call on which API and when they are making the API call. So to track that we use the cookies. Now we will understand cookies practically. For that, we will come back to the VS Code editor, and let me close these files, and we will clear this index.js file. So from here we will remove this connect db function. After that, we will clear these routes. We will remove these import statement, and let's remove this middleware also. So now we will save the changes. So now this main file is looking clean, and now we want to use cookies. So normally in Express.js we don't have any cookie parser. So to parse the cookies we need an external package, that is cookies parser. So if I come back to the web browser and open new tab, and here if I open npmjs.com, and here we have to search for cookie parser. So we will get this package, we will open it. Using this package we can parse any incoming cookies, and we can store it in request.cookies. So we will install this package. So just copy this command, and we will come back to the VS Code editor, and we will stop this project, and here we will paste this command npm I cookie parser. So this package has been installed. Now we will start our project again using npm start, and the cookie parser package has been installed. Now we have to apply this package for our server. For that we will add the import statement, and here we will add cookie parser from cookie parser package. After that, here we will add the cookie parser as middleware. So we will type app.use, and here we will provide the cookie parser method. We will save this file. So we have added this middleware. Now we will see how we can add the cookies in any response. So here we will add a response.cookie, and in this cookie we have to provide key name, and after that we have to add the value. So in the value, let me add express app. So here we have added one cookie, and if I save the changes, so our server will be restarted. We will come back to the Postman application, and here we will open a new request. Method will be get, and here we will add the http localhost 3000, and here we will call the root route. After that, if I click on send button, so here we have a response hello express, and here we have a tab where you can see the cookies. So in this cookies tab we have the name, then we have the value, express app, and it is applied for the localhost domain. And here we have other properties like path, expires, http only, and secure, that we will explore later. So for now we are getting the cookie name and value. So suppose if I open VS Code editor, and here if I add a new request, so it will be app.get, and here we will add the path /fetch, and here we will add one arrow function, and in this parameter we will get request and response. So to parse the cookies we have to use this middleware, and whenever we will send the cookie, that will be added in request.cookies. So we will come back to the VS Code, and here we will add a console log, and here we will add request.cookies. After that we will send a response. So in this message we will add API called. We will save the changes, and we will test this API. So let's come back to the Postman application, and here we will add the path, that will be fetch. And if I click on this send button, so here we are getting the message API called. And if I come back to the VS Code terminal, so in this terminal we have the name property, and in this name property we have the express app. We have not sent this data at this API endpoint, so it is automatically added from the cookies. So whenever we set the cookie, so in that one we have to add the expiry, and else we will add the method to remove the cookie. So whenever the cookie is added, if I open this tab, so here we will get this cookie that is stored in our browser, and whenever we will make the API call, so this cookie will be automatically added in the API request, and we can get it in the request.cookies property. So this is how we can set the cookie, and whenever we will call the API, then we can get that cookie. So we will come back to the web browser, and here if I open new tab, and here we will open localhost port 3000/fetch and press enter. So here we have the message API called, and if I click on inspect, then we will go to application, and from this list we will open cookies tab. Let me open it. So here we have the website URL. In this one we don't have any cookie, and whenever we will change the path, we will hit the root route from the web browser. So here you can see our cookie has been added, and if I reload this web page, so still we have this cookie available. And now if I again go to fetch route, so write /fetch. So here we have the API called. So if I open the network tab and reload this web page, so here we have the response, and if I open this cookies, so whenever we requested this API, so this cookie is automatically added in the API call. So now we will see how we can set the expiry for our cookie, and when the time is expired, so at that time the cookie will be deleted. So for that, here we will come in this line, and here we will add the object, and in this one we will add the max age property, and here we have to add the time in the milliseconds. So here we will add 3,60,000, that is 6 minutes, and we will save the changes. So we have added the max age of 6 minutes, and if I come back to the web browser and we will open inspect, and from here we will open application, and we will open this URL, and you can see we don't have any expiry data here. And if I again hit the root route, so here you can see the expires and max age property, and this cookie will be deleted after this time, that is 6 minutes from now. So this is how we can set the expiry time for the cookie, and at that time this cookie will be automatically deleted. And suppose if I don't want to set the expiry, so we can remove it and save the changes, and if I again reload it, so you can see the expiry time has been removed. Now suppose I want to remove this cookie manually. So for that we have to create a different route, that will be app.get, and here we will add the path, that is remove cookie, and after that we will add the arrow function, and in this parameter we will get request and response. So in this function we will use the response.clearCookie, and to clear the cookie, first we have to provide the key name of that cookie. So we have used the name, so here also we will add the same key name, that is name, and after that we will simply generate a response using send method, and here we will add the message, that is cookie cleared. Now we will save the changes. Now if I come back to the web browser, and here if I reload this web page, you can see this cookie is available. And if I come to /remove cookie route and press enter, so you can see here our cookie has been removed, and you can see the response message, cookie cleared. If I reload this web page, still we don't have the cookie, and if I again come to root app, this cookie will be added. So this is how we can add and remove the cookie using the route. Now we will see sessions in Express.js. So the HTTP is stateless. It means each request is independent and does not retain user data. We don't add any data from the previous request in new request. To persist the data between requests, we use cookies that gets stored in the client's browser, or we use URL parameters. Suppose we are using cookies, then anyone who has access to our browser, they can remove or modify the cookie. So we cannot use it for security reasons. And suppose we are using URL parameter, then it can be manipulated and it is also exposed. So to overcome these problems, we create sessions. Sessions solve this problem by providing user data on the server and associating it with a unique session ID, which is stored on the client as a cookie. It means to solve this issue, session save the data in the server instead of the client's browser. Using that, it creates a unique session ID. So that's why sessions are created to solve this issue. And this is how we can store the user's data in the backend, and after storage, it generates a session ID that we can send to users, and we can add it in the cookies also. And using this, we can access the user's data persistently in our backend. So now we will understand it with one practical example. So we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here we will clear this file. Let me remove these route, and we will remove this cookie also. So now our file is clear, and after that, to use the session, we need an external package, that is Express Session. So we will come back to the web browser, and here we will open npmjs.com, and here we will search for Express Session. So here we have one package, Express Session. We will open this one, and to install this package we will use this command, and using that we will create the session ID and sessions. So we will come back to the VS Code editor, and we will install this package. So here we will type npm install express session. So this package has been installed. Now we will run our backend. For that we will use this command npm start. So our server has been started. Now we will set up the sessions. So to create this session, first we have to import the package. So just add import session from, and here we will provide express session. So we have imported it. After that we will add the session as middleware. So to add it as a middleware, here we will write app.use, and here we will add session method. In this method we have to provide one object, and here we will define multiple properties. So our first property is secret. Using this method we can sign the session ID cookie. So simply add a text that will be sample secret, After that, we will add the second property, that is resave. Using this property, our session will not be saved again and again once we apply any changes in the session. So we will make it false. Next we have the save uninitialized property. Using this, we can prevent the empty session to be stored. So we will make it false. So we have initialized the sessions. After that, we will create a route. So in this route, we will create a basic page view session. So whenever we will reload any page, then views will be count and it will be stored in the session. For that, we will create a route using app.get. Here we will add the route name /visit. And here we will pass the arrow function. In this parameter, we will get request and response. And here we will add a if statement, and here we will check if our request dot session dot page views. So here we are basically checking if the request dot session dot page views property is available. So in this page views, we will increase the count. So here we will add request dot session dot page views plus plus. After that, we will simply send a response using send method, and in this method we will use the template literal, and here we will add a message, that is you visited this page, and here we will provide the page views variable. So simply add $, curly braces, and here we will add request dot session dot page views. After that, here we will add times. So when in our session this property is available, then we will increment it by 1, and then we will send this count as a response. So suppose if visitor is visiting for first time and this page views property is not available in their session, so in that case we will add a page views property. So here we will add the else statement, and in this else statement we will add request dot session dot page views property and initialize it with value 1. After that, we will generate a response using response.send. Here we will add a message, that is welcome to this page for the first time, and we will save the changes. So we have added the session for this route, and now we have to visit this route using the web browser. So we will come back to the web browser, and here we will close this tab, and here we will open /visit and press enter. So here you can see the message, welcome to this page for the first time. And here we have a cookie where you can see the name connect.sid, that is session ID. This is the value, and if I reload it, you can see you visited this page 2 times. If I refresh it, you can see the value is increasing. So you can see the count is increasing. So this is how you can use the session, and we can perform multiple tasks using the session. Now we'll see how this logic is working. So when the user visits first time, then a new session will be created, and that session will be stored in this server, and from there we will get the session ID that will be automatically set in the cookie, and it will be sent to client. And here we will create variables like this page views. that we can access using the backend. So if user want to modify this data, then user cannot modify this data because this data is stored in our backend. After that, we will see how we can remove any session. For that, we will create a new route. So we will add the name app.get, and for this route, let's add the name /remove_visit. After that, we will add one arrow function, and in this parameter, we will get request and response. And here we will use request.session, and here we have a destroy method. Using this method, all the sessions and user data will be removed from the backend memory. After that, we will generate a response using send method, and here we will provide the method that will be session removed. If I save the changes and come back to the web browser, and if I reload this web page, you can see the count is increasing, and if I change the URL, that is remove visit, press enter, so you can see the message session removed. And again, if I reload this web page, so you can see again it will start from first message, welcome to page for first time, and now if I reloading it, it is increasing the count. And if I open this API remove visit, so it will reset the session. So this is how we can use these sessions in Express.js. Now we will learn authentication in Express.js. Authentication is the process of verifying the identity of a user. In Express.js, authentication ensures that only authorized users can access certain resources. To implement the user authentication in Express.js, we have two methods. So the first one is session-based authentication, where we use cookies and sessions, and the second one is token-based authentication, where we use the library like JWT or ZeroAuth, and it provides the token, and using that token we will verify the user. So now we will learn basic authentication flow. So the first step is to send the login credentials like email and password. And then we verify the credentials on our server, and if the credentials are valid, then in that case we send a session cookie from the server, and if the credentials are valid, and in that case we will send a response. And if we are using the session based authentication, then we will send the session, and if we are using JWT authentication, then we will send a token as a response. That session and token will get stored in the client browser, and when we make the API request where we need the authentication, then we will send that session or token in the API request. So first we will see how we can achieve the session based authentication using cookies. For that, we will come back to the VS Code editor, and from here we will clear this file. So we will remove this route, and let's remove this route also. Here we have used two middleware, that is cookie parser and session. We need this middleware, so we will not remove it and we will keep it as it is. And after that, here we will create multiple routes. So for that, we will write app.post, and the first route will be user registration. So we will add the path /register. After that, we will add asynchronous function, and in this function parameter we will add request and response. So whenever user hit this API, then we will get the user's name password, and we will store this property in an array. So here let me create one array. So just type const users equal to array. For now we will use this array as a emulated database. Here we have created a register route, and in this route we will get the username and password. We will get these property from request.body. After getting this property, we will register this user in our database, that is an array. So for that, simply add users dot push, and in this method we will pass one object where we will simply provide the username and password. We can also encrypt this password that we will learn later in this video. For now, we are using this password directly in this users array. After that, we will generate a response using response.send, and here we will add a message that will be user registered. So here we have added user registered. So this user registration route has been created. Similarly, we will create a login route. So we will create a copy of it, and here we will add the route name, that is login, and here we have to get the username and password, and here we won't add this data in the array. Here we will add a verification. To verify that, here we will add a variable, that is user, and here we will use this users array dot find method, and first we will find a user from this username, and we will store it in this user variable. So here we will pass the individual user, and we will check if the user dot username property is equal to our username that we are getting from request.body. So after that, we will check if we don't have the user available, and if the user's password is different from the password received from the body is not matching. So in that case, we will generate a response. So here we will add a if statement, and here we will add not of user. Then we will add the OR operator, and here we will check that the password we are receiving is not equal to user.password. So in that case, we will send a response. So to send the response, we will use return, because we have to terminate the function after sending the response. That's why we are adding return keyword, and after this return, we will send a response, and here we will add a message that will be not authorized. And suppose the user is available and password is also correct. So in that case, we will create a session. For that, we will add request.session.user equal to, and in this session, we will simply store the user data where we have the username and password. So here we have created a login route, and with that we have created a registration route. We will change this message also. It will be user logged in, and we will save the changes. After that, here we will create one more route that will be app.get, and here we will add /dashboard. After that, we will add the arrow function, and in this parameter we will get the request and response. After that, here we will add the if statement, and here we will check if in our request in the session property we don't have the user available. So in that case, we will send a response. So we will type return response.send, and here we will add the message that will be unauthorized. After that, suppose we have the user available in this session, so in that case we will send a different response, and here we will add the template literal, and here we will add the message that will be welcome, and here we will provide the username. So let's add $ curly braces request.session dot user dot username. So here we have created a dashboard route that is protected using the authentication. So this route can be accessed by user who is logged in our server. After that, we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will open a new request post method, and the API will be localhost port 3000/register, and in the body we have to send raw data. Then we will select JSON, and here we will send the username and password for registration. So we will add username property, and in the username simply add create a stack. After that, we will provide the password. In the password, we will simply provide this password and click on send button. Here we are getting some error, so let's see in the terminal. We are getting this error because we are sending the data in JSON, and here we have not added the middleware to pass the JSON request. So here we have to add the middleware. So to add it, we will add app.use, and in this one we will provide express.json. We will save this file, so it will restart the server. After that, we will again call this API. So here we are getting the message user registered. So our user has been registered. After that, we will log in the user. So for login, we will simply change this route, and here we will add login. If I click on send button, here we have the user logged in, and if I provide the wrong password like this one 77 and click on send button, so here we are getting response not authorized. And if I provide the correct password and click on send button, so here we are getting the message user logged in. Now we are logged in, and now we can access this dashboard route that we have created here. So let's copy this route, and we will send a new request. Here we will select get method. Our route will be localhost port 3000/dashboard, and now we will click on send button. So here we are getting a response that is welcome great stack. So here we have not added anything in the body, still we are getting the message welcome great stack because this data is stored in the server. So like this, we can use these sessions for user authentication. Now we will see JWT based authentication. So first we will see what is JWT. So JWT, that is JSON Web Token, is a stateless authentication method that sends a token instead of storing sessions on this server. Normally in the session based authentication we store the session or cookie, but here we will get the token after authentication and we will save the token and reuse it. So first we will see how JWT works. So first user will log in and they will receive a JWT token, and then client will store the token. We can store in local storage or cookies, or we can store it in authorization header. The token is sent with every request when we call the any protected route, and at the end the server will verify the token when we send the token on server, and if the token is correct then server will allow us to access that API. Now we will understand it with one example. For that we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here first we will stop this server and we will clear this file. To clear it, we will keep this route and clear the functionality, and in this one also we will remove these code, and in this register route we will keep the code as it is. Here we will remove this session and cookie parser middleware. We will remove this import also. So we have cleared the file, and now we have to use the JWT. For that we need to install the JWT package. So we will come back to the web browser and we will open npmjs.com. Here we will search for JSON web token. So here we have this package. Using that we can create the JWT authentication. So we will copy this command to install this package and we will paste it in this terminal and press enter. So it will install this JWT package. After that we need to search one more package, that is bcrypt.js. We will open this package bcrypt.js. We will use this package to encrypt the user's password and we will save that password in the storage. So to install it, we will copy this command and come to VS Code terminal and paste it. So this package has been installed. Now we will start our project using npm start. Now our project has been started. After that we will again create all the routes. So here we are getting the username and password from the request body. After that we will hash the password. Then we will store the password in this array. So here first we have to import bcrypt from bcrypt.js. After that we will come to this register route, and here we have to create a variable with the name hashed password, and here we will use await and we will use the bcrypt. To hash the password, here we have to add .hash method, and in this one we have to add two parameters, that will be user's password. So we will provide this password, and after that we have to provide the number of rounds. So simply provide 10. We can keep this between 5 to 15. So in general we will keep it 10. After executing this statement, we will get the hashed password, and instead of original password we will store the hashed password of the user, and it will be stored in this array. For that, here we will simply add hashed password. After that we will send this response, that is user registered. So we have modified our register route. After that we will modify the login route. For login we will get the username and password from the user, and after that we will find the user's name, and after that we will verify the password. To verify the password, here we will use bcrypt because we have hashed the password. So here we will simply add not, and in this one we will add await bcrypt package dot compare method, and in this compare method we have to pass two parameters. So in the first parameter we will add the normal password of the user, and in the second one we will add the hashed password. So to get the normal password, we will add this password that we are getting from the request, and then we will add the user dot password property. So if this password is same, here we will get true, and here we have added exclamation sign, so it will make it true. So if the user is not available and if the password is false, then it will return a message not authorized. And after that, if the user is available, and with that password is accurate. So in that case we will generate a token and we will send that token in our response. For that we will simply type const token equal to, and here we will add JWT. To use the JWT, first we will import it. So we will add import JWT from JSON web token. So we have imported JWT. After that we will add JWT.sign method, and here we have to pass two parameters, that is data that we want to sign, and the second parameter is secret key. So our first parameter will be one object where we will store the username, and in this username we will simply add username that we are receiving from request.body. So these names are same, so we can directly provide username. After adding this username, we will come out of this object, and here we will add the comma, and after that we will add a secret key. Using that we can sign this object. For adding the secret key, we will add any complex text. So for learning purpose, let me add one string where we will simply add a text has secret. So we have provided the second parameter. After that we will add response.json, and in this response.json we will simply pass this token. So after login we will get this token, and using this token we can access this dashboard. So here we will add a verification method so that if the token is correct, then only we can access this route. So here we will get the token from header. So we will type const token equal to request.header, and here we will provide key name where we will send this token. So here we will use authorization. In this authorization key we will send this token. It will be sent on the server, and now we have to verify this token. For that we will use const decoded token equal to, and here we will use JWT.verify method. In this verify method we will add token, and in the second parameter we have to add our JWT secret that we have added here. Test has secret, so we will copy and paste it here. After that we will check if decoded token dot username. If the username is available, it means the token is valid, and we will get the username property also, because while signing the token we have provided the object, and in this object we have added the username property. So this object will be saved in this decoded token. After that the token will be decoded, and in that case here we will generate a response, and here we will add this send method, and in this one we will add the template literal, so just add backticks, and here we will add welcome, and here we will provide decoded token dot username. After that, suppose our token is incorrect, so in that case we won't get the username. So here we will add the else statement, and here we will send a request where we will add the message that will be access denied. Now we will format this and we will save the changes. So it will restart the server, and after that we will come to Postman application, and here we will open this previous request, and here we will change this route, and here we will type register Now we have to register the user, so we will click on send button. So you can see the response, user registered, and after that we will add login path. So just update it, login, and click on send button. So our user is logged in, and after that we are getting the token in the response. Now we have to access this dashboard API where we have to pass the token in the headers. So for that we will create a new request and we will copy this token first. And let's open a new request. Type will be get, and in the URL we will add localhost port 3000/dashboard, and we will come to headers, and in the headers we will add authorization property, and here we will simply paste this token. If I click on send button, so as you can see here we are getting the message, welcome great stack. So our token is successfully decoded, and here we are getting this welcome message. Now suppose if I change this token, so let's change this token and click on send button. So we are getting an error. So this error is thrown using JWT verify method. To handle this error we will add the try catch block. So we will cut these lines, and here we will add the try catch block. In this try block we will paste this code. We will simply copy this response here and paste it in this catch block. And here we will send the message access denied. We will save the changes and come back to the Postman application, and if I click on this send button with invalid token, so you can see the response access denied, and if I correct this token we will add this digit and click on send button. We are sending the original token, so now we are getting the message welcome great stack. So this is how we can use the JWT authentication to protect any route. Now we will learn RESTful APIs with Express.js. A RESTful API is a web service that follows REST principles, using HTTP methods to perform action on resources. So let's see some principles of REST API. So it is a stateless. It means every request from the client must contain all the necessary information. Next one is client-server architecture. It means our front-end and back-end communication should be well-defined. And the next one is resource-based. So when we create any API, in that one we have to provide the well-defined resource name. Suppose we are creating API for any user. So the endpoint should be /API/user. So like this, our each resource should be created on well-defined API. Next is HTTP methods for CRUD operations. So we have to follow the HTTP methods like this. Suppose our request is GET. So we will use it to read any data. For example, /API/product/list. So whenever we will get any product list from the server, we will use the GET request. Then we use the POST request when we have to create a new data. Like if I want to add the product data, then we will use the POST request. Then we have PUT request, and we use it to update any data on the server. So we can create the API endpoint like this, /API/product/update. Next we have delete method that we use to remove any data from the server. If we want to create any API to delete the resource, then we will use the delete method, and our API endpoint should look something like this. After that we will see uses of a status code. Each status code belongs to a particular class which conveys the type of response. Suppose if we are sending any response, so in that response we can send a status code also. Here we have multiple status codes, so we will discuss about some popular status code. So the first status codes start with 2, and we can define it for success. So the success code indicates that the request was successfully processed by the server. So the first one is 200. It indicates the request was successful and the server has sent back the requested data for get request. The next one is a status code 201 that we use to indicate the resource was successfully created. We use it for post request. Suppose I want to add any product in the database. In that case, we can use this status code after adding the product. So it will indicate our application that our resource has been created successfully. The next one is 204 that we use to indicate no content. It means the request was successful but there is no data to return. We use it for delete or put request. After that we have other status code that start with 4 and we use it for client errors. These codes indicate that there was an issue with the client's request, meaning the client need to fix something. So the first one will be a status code 400, that is bad request. We send this status code when the server cannot process the request due to bad syntax. Suppose if we are sending invalid JSON in the request body, then that JSON will not be parsed using the JSON method. In that case, we will get this type of a status code in the return. Next we have a status code 401 that is unauthorized. We send this status code when the request lacks valid authentication credentials. After that we have a status code 403 that we use for forbidden. It means the server understood the request but it refuses to authorize it. Then we send this status code. After that we have a status code 404 that is not found. We use this status code for not found. Suppose the requested resource was not found on the server. Then we will return this 404 status code. Next one is 422 and we use it for unprocessable entity. Suppose we are requesting for user creation and we have provided the password of 7 digits, but our server requires 8-digit password, right? So in that case we can get the validation errors. So with that error we will send this status code that is 422. After that we have the status codes start with 5. These status codes indicate the server has failed to fulfill a valid request. So the first one is a status code 500 that is internal server error, and it is a generic error message when the server encounters an unexpected condition. So whenever our server crashes with any issue, then we will send this status code 500. The next one is a status code 502 that indicates the bad gateway. It means the server received an invalid response from an upstream server. It means when one server communicates with other server and in that process if we get any invalid response, then we use this 502 status code. After that we have this status code 503 that says service unavailable. Suppose the server is currently unavailable due to being overload or down for maintenance, right? So in that case we send this status code 503. It means service unavailable. Now let's see why we use a status code. So we use the status code to create our RESTful API, but why it is so important? So the first one is clarity. It means they give the client or user a clear indication of what happened with the request. Then we use it for error handling. Suppose if we are getting any status code, and in that case we want to display the notification to user that we received this error from the server. The next one is a standardization. It means the status code provide a consistent way to communicate results across different APIs, making it easy for developer to work with APIs. In short, status codes are necessary to help the client understand the outcomes of the request and to handle any issue accordingly. Now we will understand it with some example. So we will come back to the VS Code editor, and first we will clear this file. So let me remove these routes, that is dashboard, login and register. After that we will remove this user array, and from here we will remove this JWT and bcrypt import statement. Now our server is clear. After that we will create some APIs, and in that one we will try to send the response using the REST principles. So first here we will create API that we will use to get all product data. So for that we will add a comment, and here we will type message get all product, and here we will use app.get method, and in this one we will send the data from server to client. So we are using the get method, and here we will add /API/ and here we will add the endpoint products. After that we have to add one arrow function, and in this parameter we will get the request and response, and here we will create a dummy data. For that simply add const products equal to, and it will be one array, and in this array we will add one object that represents a product, where we will add the ID, one name, and here we will add the product name laptop, and after that we will add the price property, and here we will provide the price. Now we will create one copy of this object. Here we will add the ID2, it will be mobile, and we will add the price. So we have added one array, and in this array I have added two product. Now I want to send this data to user. So here we will use response.status, and here we have to provide the status code. So we are going to use a status code 200. It means the request was executed successfully, and after that again add dot, and we will add the JSON method, and whenever we will create the REST API, so we have to send the response using JSON method. So whenever we will get the request and we will send the response, so we will use the JSON method for the API call. So here we have to add this products, because this is an array, so we have to add it in an object. We will save the changes and come back to the Postman application, and here we will create a new request. So we will click on this plus icon, and here we will choose the method get. Then we will add the URL localhost :/API/products and click on send button. So here you can see in this response we are getting the product in this object, and in this products property we have one array, and in this array we have two object that represents two product. And you can see the status code here, that is 200, that we have sent from our server. So you can see the message here, a standard response for successful HTTP request. After that we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here we will create a new API. So here we will create one API to get the data of single product. For that, here we will add a comment. Here we will type message get a single product. Now we will create the API using app.get, and here we have to send the data. So we are using the get method, and here we will add the endpoint /API/products/ and here we will use the params ID. After that, we have to add one arrow function, and in this parameter we will get the request and response, and here we will provide this products array. Just copy and paste it here. So here we have this products array, and using this array we will find the product data using the ID, and we will send it in the response. For that, we will use a variable that is product, and here we will use products dot find method, and in this one we will send the individual product, and here we will check if our product dot ID is equal to our request dot params dot ID. So in that case we will send this product data. So this ID is a number, and here we are getting the ID from params. It will be in a string, so we have to convert it in number. For that, we will wrap it, and here we will add number constructor. So this string will be converted in number. After that, we will find the product, and here we will send this product data. Suppose we are getting any ID 3 and we don't have any product with that ID. So we will send a different response. For that, here we will add the if statement, and here we will check if we don't have the product available. So in that case, we will simply return one response, and in this response we will send the status code that will be 404 because this product is not available in our data. And after that, we will send response using JSON method, and in this one we will add the message. Here we will add the message product not found. So we have added one message in this JSON object. Now suppose we have the product available. So in that case, we will create a different response where we will add the status code 200, and here we will add the .json method. In this one, we will send our product. So this product is already an object, so we can simply add it in this JSON. So we will add product. Now we will save the changes, so it will restart our server. After that, we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will provide / and here we have to add the ID 1. If I click on send button, so now in this response we are getting a status code 200, and here we are getting the product data, that is ID 1, name and price. And instead of this 1, if I provide 2 and click on send button, so here we are getting another product with product ID 2, name and price. And suppose if I add another ID that is not available in our product data. So I have added 3 and click on send button. So you can see we are getting the message product not found, and here you can see the status code that is 404 not found. So this is how we can use the status code. Now we will see some other example for different status code. So here we will add a comment with the name create a new product, and here we will add the app.post method. Here we have to get the data from the user, and using that data we will store the data in the database. So here we will use the post method. Here we will simply add API endpoint, that is /API/products. If I see, you can see this path is same as we have used here, get all products. So but the method is different. So we can use the different method and use the same API endpoint. After that, we will add one arrow function, and in this parameter we will get request and response. And suppose we are getting any data, that is new product, and we will get it from request.body. So now we will get the product data from the request body, and in this product data we have to add one ID. So we will add new product.id equal to, and here we will provide the ID that will be timestamp. So we will use date.now property. After that, we will generate a response. For that, we will use a status, and in this status code we will use 2 not 1. And after that, we will add JSON, and here we will add one object that will be new product, where we have added the ID also. So after creating this API, we will save the changes and we will test it. So we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will remove this ID and we will change the method to post. And here in this body we have to add the product data. So we will select raw and JSON, and here we will simply add the name property that will be headphones. Then we will add the price property, and here we will add the price 200 and click on send button. So now you can see we are getting the response with ID, and here you can see the status code 2 not 1 and the message is created. So like this we can use the status code and create the RESTful APIs in our Express application. Now we will learn project scaffolding in Express.js. When we are building a large-scale Express application, then organizing the project structure is crucial for maintaining and scalability. So now we will see how we can structure our Express app. To create a well-structured Express app, we follow the MVC, that is Model View Controller pattern. So let's see this pattern. Here we have this project root directory. So in this one we will have the src folder, and in this src folder we have to declare all the routes, controller functions, models, middleware, configurations and utilities. And after this src folder in root we have the public folder. Suppose we have the static assets like CSS or images, then we can place it in this public folder. After that we have views that we use using the templating engine. After that we have node modules that is installed in the root folder. After that we have the .env, that is environment variables. So to use the environment variables we use the .env file and we keep it in the root folder. And this package.json is also in the root folder, and our main file like index.js, server.js or app.js, we keep it in the root folder. Now we will understand in our src folder how we use the routes, controllers, models, middlewares, configuration and utility folder. First we will talk about routes folder. So routes folder are used to define the API endpoint and handling the HTTP request. We use this routes folder to store multiple routes that is directly connected with the controller function. After that we have the controllers folder where we will store the logic in different files that will process the data and it will help us to interact with the model. After that we have the models folder where we represent the structured data using a schema, and we can use it for performing the CRUD operation with the database. After that we have the middlewares. In this folder we store the middleware that is used to process the request and it will provide the data in the controller function. After that we have the config folder. In this folder we create the centralized settings or configuration, like we have to use the MongoDB, and that db.js file should be stored in this config folder. After that, we have the utilities folder. In this utilities folder, we store our helper functions that can be used to perform the common and reusable tasks. So this is how we use the model view controller pattern and create our Express app in a structured way. Using this folder structure, our Express app looks clean and it is scalable and maintainable. Now, using one package, we will create the folder structure of our Express app. For that, we will come back to the web browser and here we will open npm.js and here we will search for Express generator. So we will get this package Express generator. Here we will install this package globally in our system and we can use it to create the Express app. Here we have some flags. Using that we can customize our Express app. So using this package, we will create a Express application. For that, we will simply copy this command and we will come back to the VS Code editor and here we will stop this project. We will clear this terminal and here we will paste this command, that is npm install -g express generator. So our package has been installed. After that, we will use this package to create a new project. So our package has been installed in our system. After that, let me close this VS Code window and we will come back to the desktop and here we will open the terminal. And here we will use express command and here we will provide a folder name, that is Express app. Express app generated. After that, press enter. Now we will close this terminal. So here you can see a new folder has been created. If I open this folder, here we have the structure. It is created automatically. We will open this folder in VS Code. So here we have bin folder where we will store the executable file. Then we have the public folder. Then we have the routes. Then views. And here we have the app.js file. And after that we have the package.json where we have all the packages like cookie parser, express, Morgan, Jade. And to run this project, first we have to install the dependencies. For that we will add npm install. And after that, to run this project, we will simply use npm start command. After that, it will run the project. So if I come back to the web browser and if I reload this web page, so here we have the Express. Welcome to Express. Whenever we reload this web page, so in this VS Code terminal, you can see it will console log the request. We can see it in this terminal, like we have executed the GET request at home path. This is the status code, and after that, this is the processing time, that is 10 milliseconds. So this is how we can create our Express app. If I want to create the project using model view pattern, for that we have to create it manually, and if I want to create a normal Express app, then we can use the Express generator. After that, we will close it and we will delete this folder. Now we will come back to the old project and we will open it in VS Code editor, and now we will clear this file. For that, we will simply remove these routes and we will save the changes. So now our index.js file is clear. Now we will learn error handling in Express.js. When something goes wrong in your Express.js application, like a missing file, an invalid request, or a failed database connection, your app should catch these errors and respond properly instead of crashing. If we do not catch these errors, it will crash our Express application. So now we will see how we can handle the errors in Express.js. In Express.js, we have a special type of function called error handling middleware. It looks like a regular middleware function, but it has 4 parameters instead of 3. So if I see this middleware, so the first parameter will be error, second will be request, third is response, and the next one is next, that is callback function. When you call the next function, Express knows that an error occurred and will skip to this special middleware. And then we will handle this error. We will understand it with one example. For that, we will come back to the VS Code editor, and here we have cleared this file, and after that, here we will create 2 other API endpoints. So here we will add a comment, and here we will type synchronous error. Here we are creating the endpoint, and using that we will throw a synchronous error. For that we will add app.get, and here we will add the route path, that is /synchronous error, or we can write sync error. And here we will add one arrow function, and in this arrow function we will get the parameter request, response, and next callback function. After that, here we will use the try catch block. So whenever we have to handle the error for any asynchronous or synchronous function, we have to use the try catch block that will catch our error, and it will call the middleware function. Suppose in this try block, if I throw any error, we have to type throw new error, and here we will create an error with the message something went wrong. So we have created one error. After that, in this try block we will get the error, then catch block will be executed. So here we will handle this error. To handle it, we will simply type next. We will call the next callback function, and in this one we will pass our error that we will get from this catch block parameter. Similarly, we will create one more endpoint. So we will type the comment. Let's type asynchronous error. Here we will use app.get method, and in this one we will add the path async error, and here also we will pass the arrow function, and in this arrow function parameter we will get request, response, and our callback function, that is next. After that, in this function we will add the try catch block, and here we will add the async keyword before this function, and in this try block we will throw an asynchronous error. So we will add await promise dot reject method that will throw an error, and here we will throw a new error. So just add new error, and in this error we will add the error message that will be async error occurred. After that, here also we will correct this spelling. We will use the capital E. So after getting the error in the try block, this catch block will be executed. So in that case, here we will call this next callback function, and in this one we will pass our error. So here we have created 2 endpoints, that is throwing a synchronous error and asynchronous error. Now to handle these errors, we will create a middleware. So here we will create a global error handling middleware that will catch all the errors in our Express app. For that we will use app.use, And in this one we will simply pass one arrow function, and in this parameter we will get error, then request, then response, then our next callback function. After that, when this error will come in this middleware, in that case we will console log that error. For that we will simply add console.error, and in this one we will provide the error.message. So error message will be printed in the console. After that we will generate a response where we will set a status code, and in this status code we will provide the 500, and in this one we will send the response using JSON method where we will add the object, and here we will add the message property, that is error.message. So in the message property we have added error.message. Here in console log, with this error message we will add one more console log, and here we will add error.stack. We will correct it. Here we will use err instead of error because we have added this parameter here, err. So we have created this middleware that will handle our error, and error message will be printed in the console and a stack will be printed in the console, and with that we will send the response with a status code 500 and a message property with error message. To test it we will save the changes and we will again start this project. So just add npm start command. So our server has started at localhost port 3000. Now we will come back to the Postman application, and here we will create a new request where we will add the type get, and here we will add the endpoint localhost :3000/sync error. So first we will test the synchronous error API endpoint. We will click on this send button. So here we are getting the message something went wrong that we are getting from our middleware. And with that, in this terminal you can see it will print the message. So here you can see the error message something went wrong, and with that we are getting all the data here using the stack because this error occurred in this file in line number 15. So if I inspect it, you can see in this line 15 we have generated the error. After that we will check the asynchronous error. So here simply add async error and click on send button. So here we are getting some different error because here we have missed the /. We will add this /, we will save the changes. Now let's click on the send button again, and here we are getting the response async error occurred. So we can handle these type of error and we can send it in our a special middleware that will handle all the route. After that we will see some best practices for Express. Before that, when we are creating the synchronous or async function, so in that function we will use the try catch block. Using the try catch block, it will prevent the Express app from crashing, and with that if I send the error message, so in that message we have to describe our error so that the user will get to know where is the issue in our API, and with that we will print the so that the developer will get to know where the issue occurred. And with that, whenever we will send a response, in that one we have to send a valid status code so that our error handling will be easy. After that we will see if any error occurs in the Express app or in any API route, then how we can handle this type of route globally. For that, here we will simply add one event listener. that will handle the error and it will prevent the app from crashing. For that, we will simply add process dot on, and in this one we will add the parameter. So the first parameter will be event name and the second one will be handler function. So our event will be uncaught exception, and after that we will add the arrow function, and in this parameter we will get one error. So whenever this event occurs, this function will be executed. So here we will add console log and we will provide this error, and with that we will close our application. So for that we will add process.exit, and here we will add a parameter that is exit. After that, here we will add one parameter that will be the exit code. So here we will add 1. This is how we can handle the uncaught exception error in the Express app. This is how we can add multiple event listener. Suppose we add process.on, and here we will add the event name, unhandled rejection, and after that we will add the arrow function. In this parameter we have to get two parameters, that is reason and the second one is promise. So here we are simply add the console log and provide this reason. For that, this unhandled rejection occurred. So this is how we can use the event listener and handle the error. It will prevent the app from crashing, and if we get any crash, then we'll get the proper detail in our terminal. So in this video we have learned Express.js, routing, HTTP methods, and with that we have handled the form and updated the data in the database. Then we have learned the cookies and session management, and we have implemented authentication using sessions and JWT. After that we have created the RESTful APIs, and then we have learned about folder structure of our Express app, and then we learned about error handling. So in this video we have covered all the important concepts of Express.js. I hope this video will be helpful for you. If you have any question, you can ask me in the comment section. Please like and share this video, and also subscribe my channel Great Stack to watch more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching this video.